Bunasera, good afternoon, everyone. I'm really, really deeply honored to be here. It's a pleasure to address an audience as privileged and accomplished as all of you. So thank you for having me. When I told my wife that I was going to come to Italy, to Lake Como, the first thing that she said was, "Are you going to see George Clooney?" I said, no. SAP is a big company. Can't George Clooney come in and have like dinner with you guys? I said, no, we cannot get George Clooney. So this is probably the closest I'll ever come to George Clooney. But like, I'm happy that I'm here with all of you. When Louisa and everybody said we need to address the topic of the networked economy, the first thing that came to my mind is to define and understand what this networked economy means. It's a fairly interesting concept. Is it a buzzword? Is it a real trend? Is it something that's going to define the way we live and work in the future? That was probably the fundamental question that I wanted to address today. And then I wanted to take you through how this networked economy is going to impact SAP with respect to our technology roadmap, with respect to what we want to do, and also potentially impact you as our customers. So if you look at what has been happening in the last, I would say, 5 to 7 years, is that disruption is now the new normal. What do I mean by that? The pace of change has increased dramatically over the last 5-7 years. Ever since the 2008-2009 recession, we have had a lot of disruption. Jayati talked about how the emerging economies have emerged. There's a number of challenges, but they are a significant power of their own. But then there is also an amazing growth in terms of what is happening with respect to technology and macroeconomic trends. Firstly, there's a big change in customer expectations. Today, there are 3 billion people who are in the middle class. By 2030, another 2 billion people will enter the middle class. That means that you're going to have, as customers, a lot more middle class consumers that you want to cater to. Now, these customers and consumers are very different. They're very different for 2 reasons. One, a lot of them come from emerging markets. 80% of them are going to come from emerging markets. 40% of them are going to come from China and India specifically. 2, most of these consumers are going to be from the so-called millennials. Now, the millennials are people who are born after 1980 until 1992. So it's essentially people who are between 33, 34 years old to 20. And then like after 1992, there's another class of generation called Generation C that's emerging. But primarily, the next middle class is going to be from emerging markets and millennials from developed markets. Now, the millennials are also going to be part of our workforce in the future. There's a big shift in the developed economy in terms of aging population. So there's going to be a big change in the workforce. More and more of the workforce in the developed economy is going to be millennials. 75% millennials by 2025 is the estimate. And finally, if you look at what is happening due to the advent of technology, due to the change in terms of the macroeconomic structure, is a massive digitization. The one statistic that is out there is the fact that ebooks are now 60% of the book market. Now, ebooks didn't exist till 2007. That's when Kindle was introduced. So in 6 years, ebooks went from 0% to 60%. Now, if you look at it, what happened to the regular physical books? There were $15 billion of sales for the physical books. It came down to $6 billion in 6 years. So that's the impact of digitization. Existing industries will slowly slow down or probably even disappear. New industries will come. GPS devices are gone now. It's all iPhone for Google Maps. You don't have newspapers as much as you used to have in the past. Cameras are being replaced by iPhones. So there's a big shift happening. It's bits or physical objects becoming bytes. That's digitization. And all of this is happening due to an incredible amount of technology innovation. That is, we all know about mobile. We all know about social. We know about big data, how that's going to be changing the way data is stored and analyzed. And there are a few more that's going to come up in the next 5 to 10 years. One is 3D printing. It's about how you can print in your workshop or in your garage and actually do a prototype or even sell to a very, very focused user or a consumer segment. You have advanced robotics that's changing the way we are manufacturing. It's also going to change the way we will potentially deliver logistics to our customers. Amazon's already looking at drones for delivery into some suburban homes in the US. And finally, there's artificial intelligence, which is more around how do we predict behavior based on data that's available. Now, all of these trends are relevant because they drive what is the network economy. So if you look at the last 50-odd years, we first started off with industrial automation in the 60s. Motorola and Siemens had invented the transistors, which could automate innovation in the industrial area. You had mainframe computing that could drive the automation. And in the 70s and 80s was when PCs came into play. In the last 20 years, we had this internet economy, which is basically nothing but increased connectivity between companies that could drive business process automation. And that's how SAP ERP came into fore. We could automate businesses. So the whole business process automation was a driver of the internet economy. Today, due to the communication explosion from mobile devices, social, from cloud computing, what is happening is that you're going to have a lot of data coming in from smartphones, from Internet of Things, the devices that are being connected, from social networks. And this is going to drive the internet economy. Now, let me try to explain to you what this network economy is going to be in the next few years. If you look at the network economy, it's going to be driven by three networks. One is customer networks. Now, the customer networks are nothing but how a company would interact with the customer or a social media or on a one-on-one basis. Now, previously, our interaction was typically at a point of sale. With increased B2B and B2C commerce, there's a lot more virtual interaction. In fact, the interaction has increased significantly compared to what used to happen in the physical world. Close to 80% of the consumers are now active on some kind of digital media, and over 53% of these customers are socially relevant. They check what's happening from Facebook for the friends' reviews of the existing products before they make product decisions. And 57% of the customers make purchasing decision even before they enter a store or they go to a website because they make up their mind based on information that's available. The next aspect of this network economy is what I would call industrial network. Now, the industrial network has two components. One is the network of things, Internet of Things, and the other one is network of businesses, which is basically how suppliers and customers can connect with each other over a virtual network like the Ariba Business Network. 50 billion devices are expected to be connected by 2020. These devices include smartphones, it includes sensors, it includes oil rigs that can talk to each other. So these are machinery in cars that can communicate with each other. That's how much the volume of sensors that are going to be communicating with each other. The other side of it, the business network aspect, SAP already has $500 billion of commerce transacted to the networks between suppliers and customers. And this increases the efficiency of business processes significantly. Now, the third aspect of the network economy is what I would call employee networks. Most companies, if you recall, if you look at like SAP or even your companies, we are all virtual. SAP has 20,000 employees in Germany, and there are other 46,000 employees are distributed all over the world. So this means that there's got to be a lot more interactivity and a lot more connectivity between employees. And there are a couple of interesting statistics. One is that 45% of employees or 48% of employee time is spent on internal communication, on email, meetings, instead of actually doing work. And 65% of the salespeople spend time on internal stuff, and only 35% of their time in talking to the customer. This means that there's a huge waste happening between employee to employee communication, And if we can automate that, improve that efficiency, and connect the employees better, we will be able to unlock significant value in the company and increase the productivity of the employees. Now, what does this mean from an outcome perspective? Why is this all important? We believe the network economy is going to create significant value by disrupting existing business models. If you take the customer networks, what it can potentially do to a marketing organization or a consumer organization is that it can dramatically change how we sell solutions. Instead of using traditional CRM to go and reach the customers, you would use next-generation customer engagement. Now, this next-generation customer engagement is marketing-led. It's not sales-led. It's not about a salesperson calling on a customer. It's about creating the demand and making sure the customer comes in to a storefront or a point of sale to buy the goods, because that's what it is. It's changing the paradigm completely. And it's also to do with predictive omni-channel. Now, this predictive omni-channel experience is how we can engage with customers across different channels, across call center, web, point of sale, and anything else that the customer would interact with on a social network. Now we can understand what the customer is looking for, predict them across channels, and track them. Now this is going to change fundamentally how we would market and sell to end customers. With respect to the industrial networks, this is going to change how the selling model is from a product-centric business to a more services-centric business. Why do we believe that's going to be the case? More and more companies like GE, companies like Rolls-Royce, are not selling engines anymore, like aircraft engines anymore. They're selling uptime. Now, the way they would sell uptime is that they would go and say that this product or engine is guaranteed for 50,000 hours, and you're going to pay me for 50,000 hours. It is my responsibility for managing the uptime of this machine, and you can come and, if I don't deliver 50,000 hours, and at 99.5% uptime, you can penalize me and I'll pay you more. Otherwise, you pay me more. So that's how the model will evolve. It's more a rent model than buying something as a CapEx. So this is going to be a significant change because you will be able to go and manage a service end-to-end instead of selling a product and selling a service contract separately. The last part in terms of the employee networks is how we manage our talent. I talked about the whole millennials or the digital natives, as we claim them to be. They are very different in multiple aspects. They are the only generation that grew up on a cell phone. They had a cell phone by the time they were born. They're using iPads. So the biggest change is managing them as individuals rather than managing them as people working in an organization doing a business process. So it's changing a process-centric HR to a social HR. Now, what does this mean in the larger scheme of things? There's going to be a lot more crowdsourcing because of talent is so distributed, and we may not be able to get critical mass. We'll crowdsource talent from different sources. So people may not be part of your employee payroll. They'll be related to you. They'll work for you for a period of time, and then they will move on. And we believe that we can also channel purpose in the millennial talent. Most of the millennials want to work for a bigger purpose. And the bigger purpose or a larger purpose is not just like taking a salary or getting a promotion. It's about socially relevant causes. And this is going to be critical for us in terms of managing people's expectation in an empathetic and a social manner. And that's why the employee network and connecting with employees in a very different level is very important. In terms of how this network economy is going to function, the fundamental platform for this network economy is going to be a real-time intelligence platform. It's the data platform that's going to drive decision-making. It's a data platform that's going to drive predictive behavior. It's a data platform that's going to drive unbelievable insight into the existing operations. Now, if you look at what's happening in the customer networks, the ability to identify and engage with the target segment instead of looking at a demographic of male between 25 to 35 years old, married with 2 kids, you actually can go and say that person is Deepak, he lives in New York, and he's single, whatever. I'm married, so it's like, I would like to be single. But it's a it's a different mindset. It's like, how do you target an individual one-on-one on a large-scale basis so that you have millions of conversations instead of having a single conversation with thousands of people. The other part of this real-time data platform or the intelligent platform is sensing and predicting demand. Now, if you can sense and predict demand, you would be able to offer something to a product, to a customer even before the customer walks into a store, or even proactively sending it to them even before they understand that they need it. So that's the value of the data platform, and that's how it's going to potentially connect to the network and add value to the network. With respect to the industrial network, Louisa talked about the whole predictive maintenance. This predictive maintenance is going to be huge, because imagine the ability to predict when a machine is going to fail or a part is going to fail, and based on data that is coming in from a part on a daily basis or a hourly basis. So using that data and predicting when things can fail, you can actually go in and send a technician before it fails, make sure the part is replaced, and you ensure uptime. And this is especially relevant when you have a service contract that requires a certain uptime. And then, if you take the whole real-time logistics, having an ability to connect your trucks to your ships, to your warehouses, and understanding exactly what is required when and what's in transit, you will be able to optimize the logistics and reduce the inventory cost significantly. And finally, in terms of the employee networks, the data platform can help you understand who your target employees are even before they apply to you. Look at their social profiles in LinkedIn, understand what they are doing, understand the best fit, and help them come into your organization by proactively reaching out to them. So that's the concept of the networked economy. This is what we think it's going to be. It's not yet there, but we believe it's going to be huge in the next 5 to 10 years. And this is more than a technology trend. It's a macro business trend. Now, what's the barrier to entry over here? If you look at the challenge that we have in executing on a networked economy, let's take an example of a customer network. If I want to reach to hundreds and millions of customers on Facebook or Twitter, I have to engage across multiple products or technology products. I would need to have a marketing campaign that's executed across search, that's executed across campaign management, across web. I would need to do e-commerce using an app that's on a phone with a commerce engine that does personalized content management. I would need to have a CRM that I can use, my reps can use, and look at my prospects and reach out to them or call them proactively. And I need to do service across call center, across web, across multiple omni-channels. Now the challenge is, one, this data is completely disaggregated across different systems. Two, the traditional model where most companies have to buy hardware and have consulting implemented, it takes a lot of time. So that's what we are seeing in terms of the adoption of some of these technologies and consumption. The business needs sometimes exceed or even outpace what IT can deliver. So we believe from an SAP perspective, we can dramatically increase the consumption speed for IT and for the businesses by moving to a slightly different business model. And the model is for us to go into what I would call a cloud-based model where we can simplify everything so we can do anything. Now, this is a big cultural change for SAP. We really are embracing the fact that we want to simplify ourselves so that we can provide a platform for our customers to innovate on top of our solutions. And by offering it in a cloud, in a private cloud environment, we can even reduce the time to value for many of our customers dramatically. And ultimately, what we want to do is to drive outcomes. Instead of selling products that needs to be implemented, we want to deliver end outcomes that can be provisioned either on the cloud, hybrid cloud, or even on-premise based on a simpler execution model. Now, SAP, this is a big change for many of you who know SAP. And the reason why we believe we can do it is because we have HANA as the platform. Now, the HANA as the underlying platform across all applications, analytics, we believe that we can innovate faster, we can drive more value to the customers, and we can offer it all on the cloud, on the HANA Enterprise Cloud, or the public cloud based on the HANA Cloud Platform. And we also have analytics that can span across structured, unstructured data, big data, that can drive the platform for this network economy. And our applications will be industry-focused, will be line of business focused, and add value to your business process that you're seeking to address. That is basically our roadmap and vision, and we want to deliver all our solutions based on a mobile, simple to use, easy, intuitive front end that's going to change the user experience. We have already started driving it in a few areas. We're going to expand more, and soon we would deliver consumer-grade user experience for most of our products that we offer to you. In terms of what we do, we want to offer all of our solutions by industry. So you would see SAP offering solutions for retail, end-to-end, on the cloud, banking, manufacturing. And each of these solutions will be specific to the network economy. So we would be able to offer a banking solution for the customer network. We would be able to offer a retail solution for the internet network, industrial network. And then we would also offer an employee network based on JAM collaboration platform for all our employees across all industries. That's the vision, that's the future, that's where we are going. And we would do this solution across multiple deployment models for you based on your choice. We have simplified offer for your on-premise. We have a hybrid offer for you believe your data needs to be secure inside our firewall. We would secure it in a hybrid offer between a public and a private cloud. And we have an all-cloud offer. We want to give choice. At the same time, we want to drive innovation consumption. That's how we believe we can get you to the network economy faster, much, much faster than you would even hope to do.